Okay, I get to ask questions and you get to answer. And by the way, thank you so much for your flexibility with the schedule.
Thank you for having me.
We want to begin by learning about who you are and why you're running for governor.
So first I want to say good afternoon, MSEA. It's been a pleasure to join you this morning, and I just want to thank you for your service, not only to our students and their families, but to our state and our nation. The work you do is critical for our society and for our democracy, and I just want to thank you, every single one of you.
Thank you.
That being said, I am running for governor because I think we can do better. I grew up as a military brat. My father was in the U.S. Air Force, and we lived all around the United States and even abroad. And yes, while people were different and have different backgrounds and different histories, the fact of the matter is that through my travels, I recognized that, people are fundamentally the same wherever you go. They want to earn a fair wage, a living wage that allows them to enjoy their families. They want to be able to live their best life and to contribute to society in a way that's reflective of their talents. And they want to make sure that their children get a good public education, a good education, so that they have opportunities that are even better than their parents had. And so this is what this is all about. I'm running for governor because I believe that Maryland is punching below its fighting weight. We have an anti-public education governor who's in office right now. And that's simply unacceptable in a state as blue as ours. We have deep levels of inequality, if you're talking about from the eastern shore to the western side of Maryland and places in between, including Baltimore City. We have deep levels of inequality. Almost half of our public school students actually live in poverty. We're asking our teachers to do more and more with fewer resources, and that is unacceptable. So I believe that through an inclusive growth strategy, an inclusive economy, that we can achieve what we're after. And my agenda focuses on strong public education because it's the basis of not only our democracy but also our economy. I believe also that we need to make sure that our businesses are strong so that they can create jobs, and that's a focus on expanding small businesses. And I believe that we also need to ensure that workers have the supports they need in order to ensure that they're fully productive. And so that means access to paid family leave. That means access to universal health care. That means access to all of the supports that are needed, including child care, to ensure that families have what they need to be productive.
Thank you. What is your vision for public education, and how will you prioritize your education initiatives in light of the work of the Kirwan Commission and their expected recommendations later this year?
So we need a 21st century education model. We need to make sure that educators have what they need to provide students with the supports to ensure that they're fully productive citizens in our society, to make sure that we leverage these young people and these young minds and we're able to shape them in ways that allow them to live their best life so that they can be successful not only academically but also beyond. And that means that I have a five-point strategy for this. The first one is already in motion. Adequate and equitable funding and resources are critical to getting to where we need to be in the 21st century. And that means that a funding formula that supports equitable funding is going to be vitally important to getting to our 21st century goals. All of us want to make sure that we have schools, that the facilities that have that they're equipped with what we need in order to make sure that students have what they need. We need to make sure that the working conditions in the school environment are critically supported. We need to make sure that wraparound services are provided for our students because teachers can't do everything. We need social workers. We need other healthcare professionals and others to support the full development of our students, both mentally and physically, and of course certainly academically. And all of that comes not from the sky, it comes from adequate financing. And so, it's going to be critically important. I would look forward to working with the state legislature to make sure that whatever funding formula is provided ensures that there's not just a maintenance of effort in terms of the funding level statewide and also at the local level, but the funding is progressive over time so that we can see that what is being provided is not supplanted but supplemented. That's critically important. Another important aspect of my 5-point plan is the second one, and that is making sure that we have universal pre-K. The research is clear that when you provide young people, 4-year-olds, with access to pre-K education, that the outcomes on the opposite end are even better. And so we need to be dedicated to making sure that all of our students all of our young children have access to this opportunity. Third, we're not doing enough to make sure that we have a technologically enriched school environment across the state. And so access to digital education and supports is going to be critical to not only ensure that educators have what they need to be fully supportive of young people, but that we can do the personalized learning that our young people need, because not everybody learns at the same rate. They don't have necessarily all of the same interests. So everything we've been talking about this morning in terms of cultural competency, in terms of making sure that the content is relevant for our students, even in terms of the pace at which young people learn, can be aided, not supplanting teachers in this process, but technology is going to enhance that process, and we need to make sure that every school is equipped with what they need to actually maximize opportunities through technology. Also, for our teacher supports, and when I'm talking about recruitment, I'm talking about induction, I'm talking about mentoring. I've heard collaboration is something that you all are absolutely needing of and important. And so we need to make sure that we're supporting fully educators and their ability to collaborate and do what students need in order to be their best selves. And then finally, my plan is a focus on expanding career and technical education, making it relevant for the 21st century context. We need to make sure that we're doing more to ensure that our students are actually connected to jobs of the future, that they have real and relevant opportunities to plug into our economy that ensures that they can have gainful employment, whether that is through the college context where they're going to a 2-year or 4-year institution, or whether it's through certification for those young students that don't necessarily want to go or need to go to a university or a community college. I'm on the board of Year Up, and it's a program that basically focuses on ensuring that students who don't go to college have a pathway to economic opportunity. And what they do is they train them on how to be technologically savvy, and then they connect them to internships, and then they get jobs being tech support staff in various institutions. And so this is a part of my various plan. It's a 5-point plan, and these are the priorities that I come with, and I would look forward to working with all of you and the legislature to make it happen.
Thank you. And we still have a couple of minutes, so if you would pull a question and hand it to me, I will read it, and you can continue to answer. Personally or professionally, what is your proudest accomplishment?
Interestingly enough, I do a lot of work around Social Security. I feel very strongly that we need to be talking about the social determinants, not just of education, but of health and economic security, because it's all relevant. Poverty is connected to educational success, which is connected to health opportunities, etc. We need to be thinking about our young people in a comprehensive way. But one of the priorities that I work on is making sure that we protect, strengthen, and expand Social Security. One of my first jobs when I came to this region was working on Capitol Hill as a professional staffer, where I learned all about the ins and outs of Social Security policy. And I couldn't figure out why I was learning about this. Did my mic go?
No, it's still on. Oh, you might be leaning back on the chair.
But in 2005, did my mic go out? Stop the clock. Stop the clock.
Stop the clock. I don't know if we can.
Can you hear me?
No. Why don't you go to this podium over here?
Can you hear me now? So in 2005, when President George W. Bush declared that his first priority was to prioritize Social Security, I was a part of the vanguard of leaders across the country that fought that proposal tooth and nail. And we were able to beat a sitting president of the United States at his own game. We were able to basically beat back the efforts to privatize Social Security and ensure a secure retirement through Social Security for many working Americans. Also, I've been proud of the public education work that I've done. When Michelle Rhee was actually blaming teachers' unions for our academic achievement gap, I was on the vanguard of people who were fighting against her to say it's not about teachers' unions. Because if it were about teachers' unions, then Mississippi would be #1 in the United States in terms of outcomes. And that is absolutely not where we're at. So the fact of the matter is that I've had a history of working on issues that are important to working families, issues that are important to educators, and public education is the key, I believe, to the success of our economy and our democracy.
Thank you so much.